So how do you wire your helmet up to take all these accessories and GoPro additions and everything else that you want? It's quite a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? Whatever your helmet is the same sort of principle, but my center is already attached, and that is quite straightforward, whichever type of communications you have. There's the bracket that takes the center on here, and a boom microphone comes through, very sturdy on the centers, and an earpiece here that fits into a recess, both sides. That's okay, you get that going well, you can sort all that out. But how do you connect the microphone to the GoPro? The GoPro, in my case, fits on the side, as you see, so I've got to get the voice, the audio, to the GoPro. The switching on to the GoPro I do from the remote that's on the handlebar of my motorbike. So that's not a problem. They're done by Bluetooth, and they switch on two at one time. But how do I wire up the audio? That's the hardest thing of them all. Well, what I've just done with the failure of my last setup, something went wrong. I've taken this is a Rode lapel mic without the little small windshield on that it has there, and the clip. So I've taken those out. And now these are not cheap, but when my existing audio failed last week, I thought, I wonder if I can use this. And I was surprised by taking the windshield off how small this microphone is. It's amazingly small. It's small enough because I always had another boom coming out of this side to go into the GoPro, which was a bit cumbersome. Two booms on your actual bike. But this is small enough to strap to the center boom all the way down. It's that minute. I tried it on the latest video I've just done on Manifold Valley. That's this microphone. If anything, it's so sensitive. It's picking up everything. My breathing, I've had to turn the volume down so much because the sensitivity and the power of this little omnidirectional microphone is amazing. So this was £60, so I'm not saying this is cheap. I used it for all the videos I've done on the servicing during the lockdown, and I can clip it to my shirt and be able to speak. It's been very useful, but I'm suddenly desperate for a microphone for my head, for my GoPro audio. So I thought, well, will this work? And it works amazingly. And the cable is so thin, I can wire it throughout the helmet. So the first thing to do is to be able to start at this end and strap it to the boom of the center microphone, or whichever microphone you have, or a separate boom in itself. But if I can get these two together, then I've killed two birds with one stone. So let me just go and get some cable ties, and we'll start at this end. So just to position it, this center microphone has to go one position. There's a little indicator on the device itself. It'll show which way it goes, which way it faces you. So if that's there, I know how powerful this is. It can go behind it and still pick up. So let me just start by putting a cable tie just to hold. Hold it in this position here and take that off. And another one of these little tiny cable ties can go around here to hold it snug. You don't want anything moving around. And these things are all fine in your garage, but when you're in the middle of Switzerland, you might have a Swiss Army knife, but anything above that is quite difficult to do. So let me just tuck that round a little bit. So that's the microphone held quite firmly there. This is the windshield for the Senna, and I did find yesterday that it would go over both of them together. So you don't even know from the outside that you have two microphones. That's the boom on there. Just take that over the bottom. So that is the Rode microphone strap there. Take another cable tie. You don't want these touching your face, of course, while you're riding. It will drive you insane. So the connection must be tucked away from you. Be very careful you don't catch that cable, because everything is ruined then. So that's the boom, and inside here that goes onto this Velcro pad there, and it can move. Now we have quite a lot of cable here to be able to take it around and into the GoPro over on the left hand side. But there's something else I need to add. This is okay to pick up my voice, but what about a rider-to-rider communication? And it's no good hearing a one-sided conversation. This microphone will not pick up the earphones, which are right up inside, of course. It won't pick up those, so it can't pick up the communication from another rider. So what I did was take a Senna, one of the Senna small flat microphones that you get in the Senna kit. You might do it with whichever communications you buy, and this was a spare one, and I spliced it into a spare 3.5 jack plug I had. I just soldered them together with some heat shield covering over. So this mic and this mic have to go into the GoPro audio, which I can't show you because I'm using it to record this. I'll have to do a little shot of it in a minute with no sound. But they both have to go into one. So arrived from Amazon yesterday came this splitter, which takes the two into one, and it's got to have just two rings. Is that a TRS? I can't remember what they call these. Two rings, not three. And that's got to come out and go into the GoPro. So inside the helmet, all of this gubbins have to go. That's the difficulty. And that's what I've got to now work out how to do. Well, one thing I did have to do, to be able to get the cable out, I've always done this, I've had to make a very small hole, not in the integrity of the helmet, of course, but in the pad that goes around your neck there, so that I can just get it out. And this goes into the, just here, it goes into the audio connector. So that's about enough length. So what we have is a start here on the boom and an end here. It's slightly adjustable. Now somehow I've got to get all these cables. In fact, I may as well put in the one now, and I can put in the secondary microphone there. So it's all these cables to get away. Now first of all, this microphone has to go against, and I literally mean, I've tried this before, right against that speaker. If you put it to any one side, it's so muffled you can't hear anything. Now there's no way to stick it on. I found this so frustrating before. In the end, I've used decorator's tape as the thinnest Otherwise you begin to get, it's that way around by the way, you begin to get it hurting your ears if it's anything any thicker. So somehow I've got to get that stuck against that speaker, or whichever one you want. So let's try this speaker first. But here is the additional microphone. I need it pressed up against the face of the earpiece. So I use masking tape at the bottom. All this is covered up. So that's held in position, and when the face pad goes against it, it holds it against the speaker. You just got to work out a way of holding the speaker, and I find this masking tape is so thin and it molds into the whole contour of the speaker without holding anything back. So let's just try this first. It's a very tricky part. So that's the third microphone. The center microphone, the Rode microphone, the very small one that picks up my audio, and now this is the microphone that picks up the other riders who are using Senna and speaking to me and answering, and also the music. If I'm playing music, whatever it is like that, that's picking up what's coming through my earpiece, which will not be picked up by any of the other boom microphones. So that is ready to put the pads back in. So I could just line up the pads. It's always tricky, isn't it, in a helmet? Very, very tricky to get. There's one in. Make sure the microphone is facing the right way. And let's put the second one in. That's the microphone cable there. Let's put this one in. There. And then there is a final one just there. Now that should be the microphone. That should be the microphone held in place to pick up any conversational music through the earphones. But I've got a spaghetti junction of cables now to hide away. First of all, this boom microphone can be fixed. So again, this can go back into place. One pop. A second one, and there's a third one in here. That one's in. So the boom microphone, together with the tiny little Rode microphone to pick up the audio, is all in position. But now I've got to find a place for this huge combination of wires. Now first of all, the thin one, I wish I had one of those pads that you put your helmet on, like a dish. Let's try something. Okay. They're a beanbag, aren't they? Okay, so I've got all of these cables to hide away. Now this one's very long, so I think I can use a bit of a cable tie just to take up some of the slack in here. So let me just try a cable tie here first. Just to hold that together. Clip that off. You're very careful where you put these. It's not very well balanced, is it? Now if these go down lower down under here, they're going to be out of my way. There's nothing worse than something squashing against your cheek or your head or your helmet. You'll be in agony within hours. So this also needs to go right in the nape here somewhere, and you don't really know whether it's going to cause you irritation until you've tried it on your bike. But there is quite a bit of room under this neck piece. So let's try here to see whether this will connect and stay in there. I've got a little very tricky stud here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. That goes in there, and a similar one here that goes boy, they're tricky, aren't they? There. I'll still keep filming, but I'm going to take off the audio now so I can show you the part that goes on the outside and how it fits. This is the GoPro itself glued on, and I get very nervous about that. It's amazing that it attaches with a double-sided tape. Just incredible that it does attach and stay on, and all it's doing is glued onto the helmet there, but it's been there over a year now and it is as solid as anything. Now this is another GoPro standard attachment for a helmet, because the GoPro audio unit that you have to buy to get any audio into your filming has to be very close to the camera itself. So what I did is take one of the GoPro attachments that you put this in normally, and I can fit the audio in here, and because I've had it in there a tight fit, I milled out this. Okay, I've got the ability to mill out to the exact width of the unit, and I've been pushing it in and pushing it out. It stayed there for over a year, and it's been all over Spain and everywhere else. But this week I decided it was just getting a little bit loose, and I've just drilled and tapped a hole in the plastic there and put this 4mm cap screw in, and it just locks it in, and that's how I attach it. So this new cable has to go in here, which you'll see. So this is the little GoPro unit, the audio unit, that you can't do without. The GoPro picks up sound anyway, which is what it's doing now, but you can't do that on a motorbike. It's outside your helmet, it's too noisy, so you have to go direct in to the GoPro, and this is what you need. There's no alternative. You can't buy a part from anybody else. It's quite exclusive to GoPro, and it has a USB-C fit-in. So how do I fit it to my helmet? Well, this little mount, it goes, let me take the screw out a little bit, it fits in there. It fits quite tight really, but because I've taken it in and out so many times, that goes into the camera there. Imagine the camera's there but not in my hand. And then this, the one unit, goes in there. So it's quite neat, and especially with that little cap screw on there, that really is firm. Even before, sometimes if it did come out, it's fixed there and it's fixed in there, so you're not going to lose it. But I just feel safer with that little cap screw on it. So it makes quite a good unit altogether, and it's neat and compact in that position. Now, right in the end, you can see that there's one more C socket. Let me take that out. You can see there's a socket for the 3.5 audio plug and a USB-C, and that's where my power bank charger goes in. And if that charges it through here into the GoPro, then all the problems of GoPro filming and the batteries running out are solved. Time will tell.
Hello. Phone connected.
So here we are checking my wiring. I don't have to go anywhere. I can sit on my bike, helmet on, I don't have a rider-to-rider communication, but I do have music, so I can see whether the music will come through my third microphone that is attached to the speaker. So if I go into my Garmin, okay guys, I had to delete that video. I had it up for a day, and I suddenly realized last night that when I played some tunes through the headset to see if it worked, I was playing Pink Floyd and Muse and Cream, and of course I'm not allowed to do anything like that. So I've had to delete it, and I'll set it up again. And there's another track on my Garmin that the band I played with, we made in a studio, so I can play this without having all sorts of lawsuits on my plate. So this is a recording the day after, just at the end, to show you that the music does work through the headphones. And this is royalty free because it's me. So it shows it works. It is not as difficult as you think to wire it up. Your problem is all the cables. I'm going to have to now tuck them very neatly away, and I use a little bit of tape to make sure they don't fall down. You don't want them coming out. But otherwise it works, and it's with standard parts.